All right, good evening, and welcome back to the Legendary Woman series. We have been doing some phenomenal lives. I have been doing some phenomenal lives on why you need a financial game plan going into 2023. But we know and we understand that anything that is worth having is worth fighting for, right? It's worth putting in the work so that you can get the benefits of what it is going to mean in the end for you. And so, again, I am Coach Monique Beck. I am coming to you live and direct from my office, okay? And I want to talk to you about this financial game plan, this financial roadmap that we've been talking about over the last 7 days. Why is it so important to manage our money well? Well, I've been going through 7 reasons why. And so I'm going to talk about the last reason tonight, and you guys would just have to go back and watch the replay. All right, watch the replays, right, for the last 7 days. But this last reason is really important. Okay, so I really want you to lock in and listen to this. One reason why you need a solid financial game plan going into 2023 is because God is counting on you to be a good steward over what He gave you. Amen. He is counting on you to come through for Him, not because He needs the money, right? But the Bible says that a steward is supposed to be faithful. A steward is supposed to be faithful. I'm going to give you the definition of steward so that we fully understand what that means, one, but also just keeping that in mind for everything in your life. It's not just about money, right? It's not just about your children, your businesses, but we're talking about money tonight, okay? And so listen to this. This is the definition of steward. A steward is one that manages or looks after another person's property. Okay. A steward is one that manages or looks after another one's property. So that means that we have supervisory rights, right? We are supervisors, we are managers, but we do not own it. So understand that God does own it all. Okay. In the book of Psalm, it's Psalm 24 and 1. It says, the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. That means that God owns everything that we have. And so it's really on us to be good managers of what He has given us while we are here, because none of the stuff that we have with us, we already know we can't take it with us. But because God has given us something, right, too much, all that we have, right, and whatever God is blessing us with, all that we have a high requirement for that to make sure that we do the proper things with it. And so the second definition of steward is supervising arrangements or keeping order. And so, of course, we want to keep order of our money. Sometimes when we look at things in life, right, we look at inflation, we look at the raising prices, gas prices, food prices, all of those things. It can be hard to manage. It can be very unpalatable because we're trying to figure out, how do I make ends meet? And when we look at middle class America, right, and we say, man, if I can just make 100,000, if I can just make 80,000, whatever that looks like, honestly, in today's world, that's still living paycheck to paycheck. It's still not enough. And so, of course, we do the best with what we can. But if we can become better managers of the money that's coming in, the money that's going out, how much further can we, or how much better can we manage, that blessing when God says, okay, you've been faithful over, the small things, so I'm going to make you ruler over many things. You've been found faithful, right? You paid your tithes, you paid, you paid your bills on time. You made sure that you did the best you could to get out of debt. So now I'm going to reward your diligence. I'm going to reward your efforts. But how is it? And of course, He is God, right? So He can do whatever He wants. So we want to be in a position that there is no question, right, that we are doing what God is calling us to do concerning our finances. He doesn't want us to be scrambling. He doesn't want us to be trying to figure things out, because He really wants us to just do what it is that we have to do. And sometimes we find ourselves in places where, listen, I've done all I could do. I learned how to manage money when I was younger, and maybe my parents taught me, you got to work hard for your money, do this, do that. But if that strategy did not work for them, right? And all due respect, if it did not work for them, do you think that you might necessarily need, or do you think it would be beneficial for you to try something different, try something new? And you may be able to go back to your parents, go back to your family members and say, listen, this is what I learned. Try it this way. This is what's helping me, right? Because we are literally helpers one to another, but sometimes the help that we think that we're given is not necessarily help that is going to profit us, that's going to help us to get and accomplish our goals and dreams. And so we do want to be faithful over the small things, so that God can make us rulers over many things. And it's not that we're necessarily looking for clout or status, but what we're looking for is to be obedient. What we're looking for is to manage God's resources well. And so I talked about this in some lives ago. I can't think of what day it was, but I was talking about the fact that we work hard for our money. I think that was day one. We work pretty hard for our money, right? It doesn't necessarily come easy to us. There's some hard work, discipline, whatever consistency that has to take place in order for us to get that paycheck, in order for us to get that business income. And so when we get that, we don't want to have it slip through our fingers because we consider ourselves impulse shoppers, because we consider ourselves bad with money. My parents were bad with money. I've never been able to be good with my money. These are the type of things that we say to ourselves, but we got to be so careful with even the words that we're using when it comes to our money. See, even though our money is an object, right, we have the power of life and death in our tongue. And so if we say, listen, I am a poor manager of money, then that's what you are. Right? If you say I am excellent with money, your brain will begin to think we are excellent with money. Okay? And so what would somebody who is excellent with money do with their paycheck when they get paid? Those are some of the things that we have to tell ourselves. And even though it may feel like, okay, well, if that's not really the case, I feel like I'm lying to myself. But no, you're speaking those things that be not as though they were. Right? If you have a true desire to be a good steward over what God gave you, I believe that God will position you to get the help and assistance that you need, because you are a willing vessel, right? You appreciate what He has given you, what He has given you stewardship over, and you want to multiply it. Right? And even if we look at the biblical example in the Bible and the Gospels, when it talked about the three different people with those talents, and how the master gave one person a talent, gave another person some talents, gave another person some talents, right? And then one person went and hid the talent because they were scared to death to do anything with it. But the other two multiplied it, they doubled their talents. And so, because they were found faithful over what God gave them, they got rewarded. But the one who did nothing at all with that talent but hide it, right? Because they were scared to lose it, that's the one that got punished. And so we need to make sure that we don't just apply these type of principles to everything else in life, right? We don't want to look at money as a four-letter word. It is okay for us to have money. It's okay for us to be wealthy. It's okay for us to be rich. It's okay for us you know, to have big houses and nice cars. There's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, right, God gave us stewardship for a reason. He gave us these things for a reason, because it wasn't just about us. Of course, God already promised that He was going to take care of us, but it wasn't just so that we can have all these things and everybody else in the kingdom go in lack, right? And so the goal was for us to be good stewards. And then guess what? Once you know how to do something, you can actually teach that to others, whereby you are multiplying your efforts. We talked yesterday about the fact that throwing more money at the situation does not necessarily help the situation. Have you ever lent somebody money who was in trouble? Maybe $100, $200. It was okay for that day, but then they came back and asked you for more money. And they came back again and asked you for more money. So therefore, Just throwing additional money at their situation did not necessarily help. Have you ever had to have that conversation with that person and say, okay, let's take a look and see what you're doing with your money so that you don't have to keep going through this problem, so that you don't have to keep going in lack? Like what are you spending your money on? When are you paying your bills? How many bills do you have? What's coming in? What's going out? Are you eating out? Are you spending money on entertainment? Are you spending money on alcohol? Are you spending money, on extracurricular activities? What are you doing with your money? And when we give our money an assignment, right? If we can give our money an assignment, our money will have a place to go. But if we don't give our money an assignment and if we don't know where it's supposed to be going, it can end up anywhere. Have you ever, now listen, I'm speaking from experience, okay? Have you ever gotten paid? It's Friday. You don't really have a concept of what bills you have because you're not a person that budgets, right? Not at this point. Didn't budget. You just know you got paid. You know you want to go out to eat and enjoy yourself. You worked hard for 2 weeks. You waited 2 whole weeks to get a check. You got the check, and it's like, okay, great. Tonight, Friday, I'm going out Friday night. I'm going out to eat. I'm going to the movies. I'm going bowling. I'm doing whatever. Before you know it, you spent $300. And you wish you can go take that food back. So you can't return food, not when it is cooked and you done ate it. No, they're not giving you no refunds for that. And so now all of a sudden, you done ate this food, you done, you went out to the places, you did some stuff, and now you're looking at your account and you spent $300 and your bills this week is like 800 and you got 500 left. And you like, man, I gotta figure out, what can I pay, what can I not pay right now, see if I can do an arrangement. Now, before you know it, you got to pay this light bill that's $300, and you got a cell phone bill, you got a gas bill, and you got to buy food. Now you're in a situation where you need to borrow money when you literally just had it. Or now you feel like you got to overdraw your account because you did not manage your money properly. You didn't give your money an assignment. And so because it didn't know what to pay, because you didn't say this is going to go here, this is going to go here, this is going to go there. Now you behind a little bit, right? So now you got to figure out, what am I going to do? Do I swipe that credit card? Do I borrow some money until I get paid again, which is going to put you in the hole again because you got to pay that money back, right? Put on a credit card. That's going to take me a while to pay it back because I already didn't have the money. And so these are the type of things that I'm referencing when I'm talking about being a good steward. We want to be found faithful over the things that God has given us while we are here. Where much is given, much is required. If you want a lot, you got to do something with the little that you have. And I'm not saying that you have little money or anything like that. But what I'm saying is, if you're in a place where you feel like you utilize some help with your finances, with your financial roadmap, getting that in order, making sure that the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, it's nothing wrong with sitting down with someone who is licensed to help. And so I want to encourage you to reach out and set up some time for us to have a 30-minute, 15 to 20-minute conversation, not even 30 minutes, 15 to 20-minute conversation to see what your needs are. And I will be so elated to help. You don't even know. Okay. That is what I do. All right. That is something that God gave me. And that is why I'm in this vein. Okay. And so I want to see you in a better place. I want to see you paying bills on time. I want to see you saving money. I want to see you on track for retirement. I don't want you being taken advantage of in any way, shape, or form financially at all. Anyway, but financially, most definitely not. Sometimes the reason why we are taken advantage of financially is because we simply don't know. And unfortunately, financial literacy is not taught in school. Even though, some conversations I have with younger people, they tell me, they learned about doing taxes in school, which I thought was very surprising. But that's not normally the case. For people who are my age, or maybe just a little bit younger, they didn't learn about money in school. We learned how to count money. That's it. We learned how to write a check. That's it. But how many people are out here really writing checks right now? Everybody is swiping their debit card. And if they got overdraft protection, guess what? It's going through overdraft fees. If you don't put that money in the account before whatever time at your bank, you're going to pay that overdraft fee. And that could have been for a cup of coffee. You see what I'm saying? It's so easy to go backwards when we're not careful and being good managers over what God gave us. So listen, God is counting on you to be a good steward. He knows that you can do it. He gave you the power to get wealth, not to lose it, right? He gave you the power to get wealth. But why would he want you to have the power to get wealth, right? Only for you to lose it. We got to be mindful and make sure that we put in things in the proper perspective. 2022 is almost done, but it's not done yet. Start it now. Don't wait until next year, right? And that is a New Year's resolution that people have every single year. I'm going to do better with my money. Start now. Don't wait until tax time. Don't wait until you get your taxes to say, okay, well, I'm, magically going to start being better with my money. It's not, it doesn't work like that. You have to start and prepare for where you want to go. You got to start and prepare early before the money comes. Don't wait until the money comes, because I promise you, if your habits are still the same thing will happen. The money will come, and it will quickly slip through your fingers. Been there, done that. I understand. But now in this season, right, we want to be found faithful over what God gave us. Okay. And this is another scripture I wanted to read. I looked this up. This is Luke 16 and verse number 10. And then I'm going to read one more, and I'm going to be done, you guys, because it is 10 o'clock, 10:18. I need to go to bed because I got to get up in the morning. Okay, so Luke, the 16th chapter, verse number 10 says, he that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much. Okay. And then it says, and he that is unjust in the least is unjust also in much. And so let's highlight the faithful part. Okay. So he that is faithful in that which is just a little, okay, just a little, is also faithful in much. And so understand, if you can't be faithful over the little things, you ain't gonna be faithful over the big things. Practice being faithful now so that when the big things come, you get to keep it. You get to hold that for a while. Okay. You don't get to lose it, but you get to keep it because you already mastered being in a smaller place. And now you're going to a larger place, and you are prepared because you've already had that. You've been practicing. You already been practicing. Okay. And so here's one more. So, well, let's see. Did I already read that one? First Corinthians 4 and 2. Yeah, that's the last one I want to read. First Corinthians 4 and 2 says, moreover, it is required in stewards that a man be found faithful. Okay. So let us be faithful over what God gave us. I am Coach Monique Beck. I am your legacy coach. I am your family finance coach. I am your dream fighter. Okay. I am one that has stepped up to the plate to stand in the gap for so many people who did not get any financial literacy in school, who did not learn about money growing up, who want to do better with their finances but don't know where to start. I am your coach, okay? And so I want you to inbox me. I'm going to put the link to my calendar on my I'm going to put the link to my calendar on this post, and I'm tired, so forgive me. But I wanted to make sure we wrap this up tonight. And so as women, let me go back. I was just saying that I'm going to put the ways to connect with me on my posts so that you can have an opportunity to meet with me. But outside of that, the Legendary Woman series is a series that was God birthed. The Legendary Woman is the woman, the Proverbs 31 woman in the Bible. So as women, we wear a lot of roles. Some of us are single mothers and we have all the responsibility and the weight to bring in the bacon and to cook it, and that's okay, right? But you want to make sure that you don't burn that bacon, baby, okay? You want to make sure that that can be served well and that it can be palatable, that it can be edible, okay?